World in flames. Everyone ran to get a closer look, stopping when they reached the edge of a cliff. Wow, talk about a mountain view, Sonic commented. Check out all that lava. Where's it coming from? Spike wondered. The crust must really be unstable, Twilight murmured. While the lever unicorn turned back to Tails, Applejack looked over at Sonic and asked, Is that ringing any bells, Sugar Hulk? Sonic put a hand under his chin as he answered, This view definitely looks familiar, but I'm still not sure where we are. Rainbow groaned and looked over at Twilight and Tails saying, Twilight, get your memory spell over here. Put an end to this game. Twilight. The unicorn looked up at that, asking, Huh? Oh, sorry, Rainbow Dash. Did you say something? Tails and I just finished comparing notes. Sonic asked, What does your notes say? Tails spoke, Well, we already guessed we're not anywhere in Equestria. The ley lines are there, but they don't match up with the ones in Equestria. They do match up with ours, but that's where things get strange. Celestia tilted her head. How so, Tails? The fox replied, If I remember correctly, the city of Soliana is within Sonic's travel distance. But even as far out as where we are, the area is not supposed to look like this. I wasn't even aware there was a volcano out here. After slipping his radar back into his left tail, he held a hand to his chin and wondered, Could we somewhere be in the future? Rarity asked, The future? What do you think that's happening? Tails looked at her and said, Well, I don't think that yet. But given the way that things look around here, it could be a possibility, right? Elzek nodded. You might be right, Tails. This could be like that time that Doctor fellow went up to that little planet you all were talking about, right, Sonic? Sonic replied, It could be. Except this time the volcano's active. Luna asked, What is this little planet you refer to, Applejack? Before anyone could respond, a fireball suddenly struck the side of the cliff they were on, startling everybody. Whoa! Did that come from the volcano? Rainbow exclaimed. Pinkie pointed, Look! It's fireworks show! Everybody looked to see that volcano was shooting out more fireballs, some of them coming close to the cliff they were standing on. I mean, these fireworks are landing a little closer than I'm comfortable with, Pinkie. Can we please discuss this somewhere else? Twilight asked. Nobody wanted to argue with that, and they all took off running out across the cliff, Twilight dragging Pinkie along with her magic, and Sonic, Tails, and Spike covering their heads as they ran. After a few minutes of running, the group managed to find a spot to hide under to get away from the falling fireballs. As they followed the path that went under the overhang, the ponies filled the princesses in on a few of the things the group had talked about, passing a few lava flows pouring into a pool of magma as they walked. They didn't have time to mention everything to the princesses, though, mostly due to Pinkie Pie piping up with various questions whenever some pony said something new. Shortly afterwards, they came across a plateau that seemed to be a dead end. The ground was relatively flat, save for a couple of spots where it stuck up for some reason. As she and the others looked around, Twilight walked near one of the spots and asked, Where do we go now? She came to stop next to it and looked around. Suddenly, something burst out of the spot right beside her. Sonic and the others looked at her when she yelped, seeing the flames shoot out of the spot on the ground, and Twilight on the ground on her left side with a layer of black ashes on her. Rainbow flew over her after the flames had died down and asked, Are you okay, Twilight? The lavender unicorn climbed to her host and said, Yeah, I think so, Rainbow. Looking at the spot on the ground next to her while her using her magic to shake off the ashes, she commented, Wow, the ground here is even more unstable than I thought. Luna nodded, Indeed. I believe it would be best if we, as they say, once are stepping on here. Before anyone could say anything, lizard-like lava monsters suddenly leapt out of the ground, followed by large worms that appeared to be seen bursting out of the ground, fiery birds flying down from above. Whoa! Tails exclaimed for the sight of them. What are they? What do they want? Luna wondered. I don't think they're here to say hi, Sonic commented. First they looked back when one of the lizard creatures breathed fire from his mouth, and quietly cried, Oh dear, they can breathe fire just like dragons. Rainbow said, Well, it's not a nice welcome. Elzek asked, Will you attack these things? Tails pointed at one of the worms and said, Look, they look like a mix of lava and rock. They might be hot, but it should be okay to touch them. Rainbow stuck their full arms together. Good, then let's do this! With that, she spread her wings and flew towards the nearest monster, which appeared to be a lizard, and flew headfirst into it, sending it flying into a wall where it burst into flames. Cyan Mare found herself having to quickly jump to the side to avoid a lava ball being spewed by the worms. Sonic and Tails quickly went to her aid, both of them attacking hard, causing the worm to burst into flames. The monsters started growling at these actions, prompting the others to move from where they were standing. They all started fighting as well, except for Flashlight, who was looking around nervously and awkwardly as the fight began to unfold. Spike managed to grab onto one of the flying creatures. Both claws wrapped around the end of his tail as it flew. He tried to make them let go by dropping fireballs on him, but Spike, due to how dragons were able to cast the fireballs and use them to provide aerial support, managed to distract the lizard so Applejack could buck it, shoot down another flying creature, and catch the worm's attention before it could attack. Flashlight, giving Rainbow Dash enough time to stop herself. The creature he was holding onto then wised up and tried to shake him off, not paying attention to where it was going. Spike managed to hold on, and when he saw the creature approaching the wall, let go, landing on his feet while the creature crashed and burst into flames. Sonic grinned. What bird brain. Suddenly, 2 more lizards burst out of the ground in front of him, startling him. The closer one tried to swipe at him with his claws, but Spike leapt back out of the way. The other one then opened its mouth and breathed fire at him. Spike wasn't prepared for the fire, and ended up getting burned, a flavor mending on his clawed feet after the steam died down. Spike grabbed his left foot in his claws and started hopping on his right foot, crying, "My toes! My toes!" Wow, that was a reflex. I know. Almost immediately after he said that, a magenta beam color shot over the hopping dragon's head, missing his scales and setting one of the creatures flying. Rarity then dashed past Spike and reared back on her hind legs, punching the other lizard across the face and dazing it. She then quickly followed this up by kicking it right in the face, knocking it up off the ground, and then burst into flames as it hit the ground on its back. Rarity then turned over to Spike, Twilight already out of sight looking at him carefully. Baby Dragon didn't even seem to notice the leopard unicorn, though. Watching Rarity fight for him seemed to put him under a trance, as his eyes now sported hearts under sclera instead of his normal green eyes. "Spike, darling, are you okay?" "Of course I am, Rarity. Anything for you," Spike muttered in a daze. Rarity raised an eyebrow at Spike's answer, while Twilight rolled her eyes. Twilight then looked at Rarity and said, "He's okay, Rarity. The fire's out. His scales seem to have protected him from any burns, but that thing didn't slash him. I think he'll be fine." Rarity looked more reassured at that, what Twilight said. The two of them looked over the rest of the field and realized that everyone else had finished up with the rest of the monsters. After the last monster burst into flames, almost immediately a large golem appeared near the rocky wall that looked different from the rest of it. It thumped its fist together and summoned a large lava ball on its left hand. Before it could throw it, both Celestia and Luna charged up their magic and fired magic beams at its head, where it exposed what wants to be its core. Their combined attacks not only stunned the beast, but pushed it backwards, the creature falling back into the wall and bursting into flames. "Oh wow, the very powerful mages could do something. Woo! Yay gods! Yay gods! Yay!" A second after the creature burst into flames, a part of the wall that it hit suddenly slid down like a hidden door, revealing a passageway behind it. Applejack looked over at Twilight and said, "Hey Twilight, sleep's pretty quiet now. Well, you better use that memory spell on yours on Sonic before anything else happens." Suddenly, a familiar voice asked, "Applejack?" The Earth's Earth Point turned to see Braeburn and Little Strongheart standing in the passageway. Just past where the wall slid down. "Braeburn? Little Strongheart? Oh my god. You guys haven't shown up since season 1. As a matter of fact, you've never popped up on this show. You've never had a role in any of these stories. I'm just kind of shocked you popped up. How's it going?" Applejack asked before running over to them along with Rainbow Dash, the others following and sewing over. "And yet all these cameos and my girl and my boss hasn't shown up yet. And Trixie's getting pipe perturbed!" Braeburn smiled. "I wonder y'all had something to do with these noises we're hearing." He didn't notice that Princess Celestia and Princess Luna said, "Oh!" He quickly drew into a bow and said, "Your Highnesses." Celestia smiled. "That's quite all right. So you're Braeburn, Applejack's cousin?" Braeburn stood up straight. "That's right." Celestia looked over at Little Strongheart and asked, "And you're Little Strongheart, are you? It's a pleasure to meet you." "I'm so sorry that you don't seem to have many roles popping up." "I know. It seems like the whole show forgot about my tribe after season 1. The buffalo nodded. "Likewise, Princess." Rainbow asked, "What are you guys doing here?" Little Strongheart sighed. "That's what we like to know." Braeburn nodded. All I can remember is some white light shooting across the desert. It was heading straight towards... He reared back of his... Hey, Appaloosa! He instead of so sound said, next thing I knew, I was standing in the middle of some wasteland in this creepy place. Little Strawheart added, I saw the light too, while I was with my herd out in the desert. I hope my father and the rest of the herd are okay. She didn't know Sonic, Tails, and Twilight standing near her back of the group. Twilight adjusting her glowing heart to Sonic's forehead as the headstock knelt on his knee. Excuse me for asking, but what is Twilight doing? Little Strongheart asked. Rarity replied, Oh, she's just using a spell that will hopefully tell us where we are, since our new friends Sonic and Tails seem to remember this place, yet they are not sure why. Little Strongheart said, I see. Braeburn perked up. Hey, that little fella's a hedgehog too. Elmsack raised an eyebrow. Yeah? There's something strange about that, Braeburn? Like Gold Airplane replied, Nah, of course not, Applejack. We just happened to meet a hedgehog fella earlier, that's all. Rainbow asked, You did? Little Strongheart nodded. Yes, and he seems like a really nice guy, too. First I asked, where is he? Braeburn replied, left a short while ago, saying his family was looking for him. I was never catch up with him, though. His name is... He was cut off before he could finish with Twilight's scream. Yeah! Everybody whirled around to see Liberty Unicorn flying through the air, her horn letting out some kind of purple energy. Twilight landed on her back and skidded next to a nearby cliff, not moving. Twilight! Sonic exclaimed, rising to his feet, dancing towards her. Tails following, even as his radar, the warp ring, and green chaos emerald fell out, landed on the ground behind him. They came to a stop at her side, kneeling down next to her as the unicorn began to move. What happened? Spike yelled as everybody began to move in their direction. I don't know! Sonic called back before turning his attention to Twilight. What did she see? He wondered. Twilight soon opened her eyes, causing Sonic to ask, Are you alright? Twilight groaned, but started, Yeah, I swear, I see one comment down there about how, yeah, this is normally what happens when somebody plays 06. I swear to God, I will hound you to the ends of the earth! Before she could say this, two crescent-shaped waves of energy suddenly saw past Sonic, Tails' backsides, stopping the advance in the air, causing the trio to look in their direction. What was that? Sonic turned his head and looked directly at the cliff. Noticed something shining just above his field of vision. It looked up to be a granite field of light. Silver? He exclaimed. Tails and Twilight turning their heads at that. Silver appears. The silver hedgehog hovered a short distance above and away from the cliff, surrounded by a green aura from his psychic powers. Something seemed to be off about him, but Sonic didn't get a chance to think about it before Silver said, Iblis Trigger, welcome to die! After saying that, his green aura surrounded part of the cliff that Sonic, Tails, and Twilight are on. The rock slowly began to break into pieces and falling, taking them with it. While the others started moving again, Tails began spinning his namesakes. And I can't believe it! We spent so many chapters getting away from you using that word! It grabbed Twilight's hooves, lifting him up off the falling piece of the cliff, but falling down. Sonic, hurry! He called. The blue hedgehog leapt from the place that he was on, the one above him, moving up and jumping for the last piece and holding out his hand. Twilight held her left hoof to grab, and Tails wrapped his palms around her right hoof. Before he was close enough, however, Silver suddenly slammed down on Sonic from the side, pressing a hand against his face and pushing him down as he flew downwards. Tails and Twilight could only watch as Silver restrained Sonic, both of them going through the portal further down below. Seeing the portal beginning to close up, Tails tightened his grip on Twilight's right hoof and swung her back, saying, Quick, Twilight! I'll be right behind you! He then swung her forward, letting go of her hoof. Twilight yelped as began falling toward her forelegs in the air as she tried to aim herself towards the portal. Tails' aim had been true, though, as she managed to slip through the portal, hind legs first. As Tails thought this showed the portal was closing, and he flew down after Twilight, flying as fast as he could go. The others made it to the edge of the cliff in time to see Tails' shoes disappear through the closing portal. Appaloosa! I could do it too. Oof! Twilight grunted as her backside suddenly came in contact with the ground. She certainly hadn't been preparing for that to happen. One moment she was falling to a portal, and the next gravity was pulling her down in an entirely different way. It's like gravity had flipped 90 degrees on her when she exited the portal. Rising herself into a sitting position, she rubbed her head and muttered, Can't say that's ever happened before. She heard something spinning behind her and turned to Tails hovering in place, the portal closing up behind him. Even though he had been in the air, it looked like the fox needed to adjust to the sudden change in orientation as well. I didn't notice Twilight and asked, "You okay, Twilight?" The Library Unicorn stood up and gave him a mighty hard look as she replied, "Yes, I'm fine. Next time, Zeltu, could you give me a little warning before you try something like that?" Tails giggled nervously as he scratched the side of his head, saying, "Well, it didn't look like there was much time before the portal closed up, so, I would have made sure to catch you if I missed, right?" Twilight's expression softened as he replied, "Yeah, I do." Tails continued to scratch his head nervously, but his eyes soon fell on the white buildings nearby. Landing on the ground, he asked, "Where are we?" Twilight looked around as well, taking note of how the buildings looked. After a moment, she said, "This looks like, I think we're in Appaloosa. Braeburn mentioned it." Tails nodded, "Oh, cool!" I looked around for a moment, wondering where Sonic and Silver were before a noise coming nearby caught his attention. It sounded like some kind of crash. Twilight's expression indicated she had heard it too. It sounded like it came from an open area in Appaloosa, near the town's clock. Tails looked over at Twilight and said, "We better check what's going on." Twilight nodded, and he ran towards where the sound had come from. Sonic versus Silver. As they neared the area, part of the old barricades for the buffalo dispute flew towards them, forcing them to jump out of the way. Looking forward again, they realized more stuff was flying their way. And then the apple bucket, a barrel, an easel. They managed to get to the red building that held up the clown clock and hid behind it. Peering out, they noticed the horse-drawn credits floating through the air, surrounded by a green aura. They soon saw it floating above Silver. The hedgehog holding it with psychic powers while Sonic stood across him, waiting to see what he was going to do. "Oh god, the Fic's gonna say it! It's gonna say it! It's gonna say it! It's gonna say it!" "That hedgehog is carrying a carrot!" Twilight exclaimed. Tails looked at her before looking back at the scene before him, saying, "That's Silver, Twilight. He's psychokinetic and he comes from the future." Twilight looked at the fox in surprise, asking, "He's from the future, are you sure?" Tails nodded. "That's what he told us, and several of our friends heard the same thing." He looked at Silver, carefully saying, "But doesn't seems wrong. He doesn't look very Silver at the moment." Tails looked back at the fight, seeing Silver throw the carrots at Sonic as the blue hedgehog dashed out of the way, asking, "Why are he and Sonic fighting?" Tails replied, "I don't know, but they have a slight rivalry even though they're friends. Kind of like Applejack and Rainbow Dash, but let's stay back here for now. See what we can find out what's going on." Twilight nodded, turned to watch. Silver growled as Sonic dodged the barrel thrown out. It suddenly teleported a short distance away from the blue hedgehog, startling him. He moved back towards Sonic, swinging his arm back and trying to punch him in the face. Sonic moved back, but Silver kept going, releasing a barrage of punches and kicks. Sonic retaliated, punching a kick into block Silver's attacks while trying to dodge. He had no idea what prompted Silver to start this fight with him, or why his color seemed off. Quickly realized he was getting nowhere like this, Silver began to add a little more style to his attacks, combining hand-to-hand combat with his psychic powers. He started hovering above the ground as he dealt out punches and kicks, almost looking like he was trying to dance in the air. They made it harder for Sonic to dodge his attacks, but the blue hedgehog soon began to put his breakdancing moves to good use. If it weren't for the fact they were trying to hit each other, they would look like they were having a dance-off. Getting tired of this exchange, Sonic soon caught one of his Silver's kicks with his hands and pushed him down, throwing the Silver hedgehog off balance for a second before leaping over him. Landing on the ground, Sonic turned around and said, "Enough already, Silver! What are you—" Before he could finish, Silver suddenly flew up to him, began trying to punch him in a way, flipping over in the air as he threw punches and kicks at Sonic, who did his best to weave around the attacks. What does he think he is, a ninja or something? Sonic wondered. After a few more minutes of dodging, Sonic moved around, butted heads with Silver, catching the hedgehog by surprise and pausing him to pause midair for a second. While he was still, Sonic hit him with a homing attack, doing it just hard enough to put Silver away without seriously hurting him. Silver stopped himself a good second later and landed, saying, "Not bad, Iblis Trigger." Sonic asked, "Why do you keep calling me that, Silver? What's an Iblis Trigger?" Silver snorted, "Of course you don't know what that is. You probably don't even know what will happen because of your actions." He lifted his arms, making a wave like most of his left hand, as a side knife began to form in front of him, swung his left arm, releasing the blade in a horizontal orientation, saying, "I'll end this here!" Sonic crouched down, leapt up, jumping over the blade. Silver saw this and leapt up after him, curling up into a ball for a homing attack. Sonic saw him coming, went for a homing attack of his own, both of them pushing against each other for a moment before both were repelled. Sonic landed on a nearby roof while Silver used his psychokinesis to hold himself up. He went after Sonic, ran along the roof as Silver launched more blades of psychic areas at him, both vertically and horizontally. As he fell, Silver yelled, "You can't escape me! Iblis Trigger!" Sonic glanced back and called, "Yes, so what?" He then suddenly came to a stop and rolled to his right, dodging a vertical blade of psychic energy. Swinging around so he looked in Silver's direction, he looked at Silver and said, "I wasn't trying to anyway." He then jumped up and launched into a homing attack, intercepting Silver along his flight path. The Silver Hedgehog grunted as he lost his concentration and fell towards the ground, bouncing along the white dirt several times as he landed. Sonic leapt down from the roof, landing a short distance away from Silver. He walked down to the Silver Hedgehog and stood up over him. "Hey," he started before Silver slowly caught him in a field of psychic energy and threw him back towards the building. Sonic, however, managed to flip over as he was being thrown, his feet coming in contact with the side of the building instead of his backside. The Blue Hedgehog then pushed off of it, leaping towards Silver and tackling him before the Hedgehog could stop him. Tails and Twilight watched as the two Hedgehogs fought with each other on the ground. Sonic managed to get Silver in a headlock, left arm wrapped around the Hedgehog's throat, while his right arm gripped the quills on top of his forehead. Silver struggled against the hold, both hands on Sonic's arm as he flailed to his feet. Sonic could easily see his arms, so Silver knew trying to punch him in this situation would do no good. It would be no use. Boo! "But maybe," Sonic spoke. "I know we usually have fun when we do this kind of thing, but this has gone too far. Seriously, Silver, what's your problem, man? What did I do to you?" Silver growled, "It's not what you have done, but what you're going to do. You are the Iblis Trigger. Your actions will lead to the world's destruction and ruination of my future." Silver's statement confused Sonic, Tails, and Twilight. Sonic was so baffled by what Silver had said that he leaned forward and asked, "What?" Silver saw his opening and took it. He brought his right arm forward and swung it behind him, his fist cleanly connecting with Sonic's face. The hit caused Sonic to loosen his grip, and Silver grabbed his arm, throwing him. Sonic grunted as his back hit the ground, and then, while still on the ground, spun around trying to kick out Silver's legs from under him. Silver used his psychic powers to teleport before Sonic's legs could hit him, however. Leaning back up onto his feet, Sonic started looking around, trying to find Silver. He soon saw something out of the corner of his eye, and turned to see Silver flying towards him, carrying behind him a wagon, 2 barrels, and all the parts of an old barricade. As he flew towards Sonic, he threw all those things at him, Sonic jumping and ducking, doing everything he could to avoid getting hit. He managed to avoid the objects, but Silver suddenly warped behind him in a psychic field, slammed him, pushing him backwards. Silver soon stopped Sonic's momentum, carrying him into a flagpole, which broke off from his space as Sonic hit it, both the pole and the Blue Hedgehog landing on the ground. Sonic managed to roll over on his front, but before he could push himself up, Silver suddenly reappeared in front of him. The Silver Hedgehog spoke. "This is the end, Iblis Trigger." He held his right fist, prepared to bring it down on Sonic's head. Suddenly, Tails screamed, "Silver!" The Silver Hedgehog froze for a second before turning his head to the side, seeing Tails running from his hiding place with Twilight right behind him. Before Silver could react, Tails kicked him, both of them landing on the ground to the side, while Twilight stopped by Sonic's side. Whilst he tended to him, Tails trying to pin Silver down, saying, "Stop it already, Silver! What do you think you're doing?" Silver grunted before he managed to get an arm free, holding up his hand surrounding Tails in a psychic field, lifting him off. Climbing to his feet, Silver replied, "Just stand back. You'll thank me later," while carrying the strangling Tails behind him. Silver walked towards Sonic, who was just starting to get up. Tails saw him coming and ran around Sonic, standing between him and Silver. The Silver Hedgehog said, "Get out of my way." Twilight shook her head. "No, not until you explain why you and Sonic are fighting." Silver glared at him for a moment before relenting. He pointed at Sonic and explained, "He's the Iblis Trigger. You saw it, didn't you? That ruined world full of flames and fire monsters? That's all because Iblis flames were released into the world, and he's responsible for releasing Iblis. He caused destruction of my world." Tails struggled anew at that, yelling, "That's a lie!" Silver turned and restricted the fox's movements, holding him in place. Tails said, "SPL told us, Silver. He told us why he came back to our time that second time, to prevent the Ifrit from resurrecting itself and escaping in its dimension. He said you said it was responsible for ruining the future, not this Iblis thing." Silver gave him a confused look. "What? No, The Iblis, the flames, the disaster, is responsible for destroying the world. If I don't destroy the Iblis trigger, then you see what will happen. He then turned to Twilight and said, "Now get out of my way!" Twilight again refused. "Absolutely you're not. If what you're saying is true, you knew why the world was ruined in your time. Then why didn't you stop this Iblis trigger either the first 2 times you traveled to the past? Especially if you're already there to stop the one creature from ruining the world." Silver looked at her, unable to give her an answer. As he tried to compose a suitable response, his hesitation started to rise. He gritted his teeth as he realized he couldn't find a suitable answer. Suddenly, he glared at Twilight and used his free hand to wrap her in a psychic field. The unicorn giving a surprised shout as he was lifted off the ground. Silver then moved her back beside Tails, glaring at them as he said, "Both of you are getting in my way. Don't make me have to destroy you too." Sonic suddenly charged forward, yelling, "Don't you dare!" Silver turned around just in time to see the blue hedgehog coming at him in a spin dash before the blue hedgehog collided into him, sending him sliding through the dirt. The attack also broke his concentration, causing Tails and Twilight to drop to the ground. Sonic ran over to him and asked, "Are you guys okay?" Twilight nodded. "I think so." She went over to where Silver had stopped before looking back at Sonic and asking, "Why is Silver acting this way?" Sonic replied, "That's what I'm going to find out. Something's seriously wrong with him. I hate to do it, but if I have to knock him out and tie him up to get the answers out of him, then so be it." Tails spoke up, "Sonic, look!" Both Sonic and Twilight looked at him, then looked at the direction he was looking. Silver was hovering above the ground, having apparently recovered. Was now gathering carriages, carts, easels, anything reasonably sized that he could grab with a psychic grip. As the mass above his head started to get bigger, Silver said, "This will end it." Sonic noticed that the mass above Silver started to look huge. If he threw it hard enough, he could probably cause a serious damage to Appaloosa. He immediately took out towards Silver, going as fast as he could to reach Silver in time. As the Silver held his arms back, apparently ready to throw everything at him, Sonic leapt up and launched into a homing attack, striking Silver hard into the chest. The force of the attack knocked Silver backwards. It caused him to bounce across the dirt ground for a second. He also lost his concentration, so everything that had been floating above him started falling down. Sonic started running as soon as his feet touched the ground, reaming around the fallen objects. He dove forward, nearly missing and getting crushed by a falling horse-drawn carriage, and rolled onto the ground, coming to a stop across from Silver, who glared at him. While Twilight and Tails started hurrying towards the wall of objects that had formed, Sonic stood up and said, "Holding all that stuff requires a lot of concentration. You couldn't have grabbed me if you wanted to." Silver climbed to his knees and replied, "That I need more power." He reached his right hand to his quills and pulled out the white Chaos Emerald. Standing up, he held it above his head and let out a shout as he charged towards Sonic. Sonic stepped around him, while they were both at each other's sides, reached into his quills with his right hand, grabbing the blue Chaos Emerald. Both hedgehogs then held their right hands up, both coming into contact with each other. "Chaos Control!" Tails and Twilight climbed onto each side of the carriage at a time, see a white light forming above the Chaos Emeralds. The double Chaos Control was creating a time-space rift, while also having a nearly unnoticeable effect on Silver. As he stood there, the Silver Hedgehog stared blankly ahead, his mouth slightly open as he seemed to be staring at something far off in the distance. So something was happening inside of him. A second later, there was a flash of light right between Sonic and Silver. Whatever it was, both of them were suddenly thrown away from each other. Sonic landing face first on the ground, and Silver landing behind a falling cart, losing his grip on his Chaos Emerald. As they hit the ground, Tails and Twilight saw a familiar white light beginning to spread out from them, where they had been standing, the color beginning to come back to Appaloosa. As Twilight and Tails stared down at the carrots, the space-time rift finished forming, and a few seconds later, Braeburn, Little Strongheart, Spike, and every pony else appeared through it. Landing on the ground, Rarity was the first to speak. Looking at the ground, she asked, "Goodness, what happened?" Braeburn quickly recognized his surroundings and grinned. "Well, we're back at good old..." He reared up on his hind legs. "Hey, Appaloosa!" Pinkie Pie noticed Tails and Twilight said, "Oh, looky! Twilight and Tails are here!" Rainbow looked over to the side and noticed Sonic had just gotten back up, now walking, having tucked the Chaos Emerald back inside his quills. "And there's Sonic! Tells you we catch up with them," she told Applejack smugly, holding Tails' radar in one hoof. The observed party just rolled her eyes and shook her head. Everyone gathering around the space-time rift closed up. Celestia leaving the warp ring, integrating Chaos Emerald next to her as Luna asked, "Twilight, Sonic, Tails, are you alright?" Sonic grinned as he rubbed the back of his head. Well, you know Tails and Twilight are fine, Luna. After all, they weren't the ones who had to fight. Celestia nodded. You don't appear to badly hurt yourself, Sonic. I, for one, am glad to see that. So he then levitated the green Chaos Emerald and Warp Ring over to Tails, who took them and slid them into his tails. Rainbow then held the radar out to him and put it away. So he asked, So, where's that weird guy? I'm ready to give him a piece of my mind for attacking you guys. Before anyone could say anything, they heard a groan coming from nearby. Sonic very quickly ran over to where it was coming from, with Tails following behind him. Spike, Little Strongheart, and the ponies all followed too, all of them stopping where Sonic and Tails came to a stop near a cart. A second later, Silver stood up, his left hand pressed against his forehead, while he used his right hand to support himself on the cart. It may have been Appaloosa's returning colors, but Sonic and Tails Suzuki looked more like himself. What happened? Silver groaned as he rubbed his forehead. Looking at him a second later, he quickly noticed a large group looking back at him, particularly the two in front of the group. Sonic! Tails! What are you guys doing here? Silver asked, then he looked around and asked, Where are we anyway? Rainbow growled, Don't try to fake your way out of this! I'm gonna! She flapped her wings and started flying towards Silver, only for something to grab her tail and pull back on it. She looked back to see Twilight's magic aura surrounding her tail, keeping her from flying forward. Twi, what are you doing? Applejack asked. As he let go of Rainbow Dash, Twilight explained, Silver referred to Sonic by name. Up until now, he didn't do that. Something's different now. Silver looked surprised at Twilight's use of magic, but he did what he said. What are you talking about? What? Silver pressed his right hand against his forehead and closed his eyes, saying, Wait, I remember what happened now. He opened his eyes and noticed the white Chaos Emerald sitting inside the cart he'd been leaning against. He reached down with his right and grabbed it. He held it up and walked around the cart. He slipped it back to his clothes as he looked back at the group and said, Sonic, I'm sorry about what happened just now. Seriously, you snapped me out of whatever happened to me. Do you think you could forgive me? Sonic replied, Sure, Silver. But seriously, what happened, dude? Before Silver could answer, Braeburn piped up, Now, hold on here. Before y'all start explaining everything, you gotta see the town first. Bet you never guessed that Silver ponies would be built all this less than a year. Before anyone could reply, Braeburn suddenly moved forward, butting to Tails, Silver, and Sonic with his head. All of them grunting as they hurried him along. Ah! Whoa! Oof! Both Applejack and Little Strongheart called, Braeburn, wait! But it was too late. The Golden Earth pony was already leading the trio on his personal turn of Appaloosa. He was not about to be deterred. Applejack sighed and glanced back, noticing all the stuff Silver had dropped. She looked back at Twilight and asked, Twilight, do y'all think you can start cleaning this mess while I reel in my cousin? Twilight nodded. Sure thing, Applejack. The other Earth pony neither replied and started after Braeburn, along with Little Strongheart, while Twilight and the others started cleaning up the mess from the fight. As he set everything back into place, made repairs where necessary, and ponies started coming outside, Twilight thought to what she saw earlier. Sonic and that princess. I think her name was Elise. They completely reset time by blowing out that flame. But it seems that Sonic has a light recollection of everything that happened. Tails too, probably, considering that place looked familiar to him too. I could give them both their memories back, but would he want to remember that? She read her horrible huff, practically feeling what Sonic felt in that sort of amount of time. Oh, come on! It's not that bad!